Hello and welcome to the Volcano Climb. This is another car build series where I've created a relatively short course up the volcano on Forza Horizon 5. This course winds its way up a bit through the forest. It is quite a bit of straight up, but you shall see in a moment. And we end up at the buildings at the top of a volcano. Now, for this, I have a benchmark vehicle, Porsche 959 Dakar. This is unlikely to top the leaderboard, as it starts halfway through A-Class, so it will be down on upgrades compared to the other cars that will run this course. But I thought it would be a good car to test out the course and show you the route. I shall start at 1:45. Oh, so don't roll back too far. Oh, here we go. So we start immediately by going off-road. If we can avoid those barriers, would be preferable. And I almost missed the braking point. Now this will require a decent amount of power, certainly some off-road traction, also a bit of suspension travel, as in places it gets quite difficult for low riding cars. Now normally you'd want off-road suspension anyway for any off-road adventures, but a bit like here, when almost every car you're going to hit that front. So this will put a bit of an advantage for big trucks and full-on off-road vehicles, where usually in Forza you take something quite light, but big off-road tyres on it, off-road suspension, and four-wheel drive, and pretty much have done with it. There's also climbs like this, where just having a bit more traction will save you heaps of time, absolute heaps of time. So the traction, and certainly if I don't get it wrong up there, and certainly the power and torque of these vehicles will be very important. Big jump over there, another test of suspension, as the 959 loses a bit of grip there. But this is specifically why I chose the 959, as it's quite light, but also has a decent amount of suspension travel. That previous section is quite an interesting section, as you go against the camber, but have to do a very tight right-hander. So traction is going to be very important there. However, over the entire climb, a lot of power will be quite useful. As we come into this very tight final section, you've got to do a hairpin. So, as you can see, quite a short course, but will pose a few challenges for these off-road vehicles. Some challenges that the normal circuits won't really. So, to the first vehicle we will run up the climb. Now, we could start quite sensibly with some sort of SUV or ultimate off-road, as the game likes to call it. But no, not on this channel. We start with a 2000s Ford SVT Cobra. So the first thing I'm going to do is make every muscle car fan angry by putting four-wheel drive in it. This is largely going to be essential, as the traction you gain from it is just not going to get up the hills otherwise. The same goes for the off-road race tyres, I reckon. It's just nothing. If you don't put these on, the car's going to be no good compared to the others, especially compared to those that the cars that start on off-road tyres. The one restriction I am going to put in is, if possible, I'm going to keep the standard engines. Now, this may not affect cars all that much. However, the torque is going to be very useful here, as the torque is the amount of force the cars can put through the wheels. So the more torque you have, the more force you have pushing you up that hill. So all these petrol cars may not do as well as something like the Ford F450 with 1,000 foot-pound of torque. Besides that, I will definitely want to tune the gearbox. Definitely want the off-road suspension and these off-road tyres as big as possible, as much traction as possible. What I'm now going to do is probably something very strange, and I love the rear wing on this. In my eyes, I like the look of this car. Unfortunately, for competitive reasons, I'm going to have to put the rear wing on. This provides very little benefit to traction up these hills, but it just lowers the PI. It's kind of what we want, just more room to do things to get this power in. Oh, we've got lots of aspiration options, not quite what I'm used to. I reckon, now, usually I'd put the turbos, twin turbos, which, especially with the anti-lag systems, is very tempting. However, maybe to go along with American Muscle theme, I think a supercharger would be better, as it provides the power and the torque low down in rev range where you may get some turbo lag with the turbos. It depends if you can get the anti-lag turbos, just a fancy system to make them spool up during low revs. And I've forgotten one thing: lightening the car. I reckon it's going to be very handy indeed to lighten it. Just means it's got less weight to cool down, so less force pulling the car downwards as you're trying to climb the hill. And largely apart from that, I think it's just going to be power as much as possible. Haven't got lots of room to play with, but we'll just add a gnats of power here and there. It's become to 1 PI difference from the top of the class, so only really going to get things like flywheel in. And driveline, maybe the track width upgrades, they usually one just about do, depends on the front, yeah, quite, that's fine. Just looking for this extra little bit of performance that you can get out of the car for no PI gain. So driveline you can, anti-roll bars, nope, that's it. That's the car. And for the sake of this series, I'm going to not tune the cars whatsoever. So, on to the race. So, on to the first attempt. I shall start on the mini-mark. And I should give this 3 attempts, as I'm human, I'm liable to mistakes. As we try and get this launch right time. Oh, left the brakes on, that was not clever. It's proving my point of why I need some attempts for this, and out-braking myself massively there. That was poor by me. Didn't quite get used to the brakes up that bit. As it jumps across these many bumps up here. Oh, there's a tree there. Had to grab reverse. Again, not ideal. This seems to be a bit of a sighting run, I should think. already, which is not best plan, but as we come to this dip, yes, it hits quite badly on there. The off-road suspension not really working on this muscle car. Stop it from hitting. The dip just gets light on the front. Perhaps front aero is also needed, but then it counteracts the benefit of the rear downforce, just lowering the PI due to having a rear wing. To take an alternate line around that tree, and can take that line. It's not preferable if you get the earlier section correct, then that line is a lot slower. But if you end up in a situation where you got a bit wrong, that line can be better. This seems to be a lot faster up these hills than that Dakar though. 550 horsepower and 550 foot-pound of torque is doing well for this Ford. Weighing only 3,000 pounds, it's pretty good power to weight ratio. See if we've got grip to do this right-hand corner. It does. Big tyres also coming very handy. It's what you get on these muscle cars. Very good. Massive jump. Perhaps a bit lower will be wanted through there. We're coming to a very tight section around these houses. There's two lines to take around here. You can either take it tight on the inside of that circular roundabout or the outside. As we come across the finishing line, it's a 2:13. Not sure about that run. Admittedly, I did hold it on the line at the start. It's not the greatest, I don't think. But it seemed to be a bit of a sighting run, as I missed a couple of braking points as well. So, on to a second go then. So, on to a second go up this climb. Now, try and get the launch right this time. I'm actually letting go of the brakes. There. That's better. It's better launch. We hit bottom there, missed the barriers. Very good. Can miss that barrier. It's very punishing. Let's try not to clip the tree. Very bumpy still. Just gets the car and settle through there. Don't hit the tree. No, didn't want reverse. Down one too many gears through there. Still a bit scruffy around this course. This section through the trees. Bit wide on that section. You can cut it a lot tighter as you saw last time round. Can't see where the checkpoint is. I don't know my own course. This is not ending out very well. Just making mistake after mistake. Need to look at the map more. I think as the series continues, I'll learn the course more. Maybe I'll have another go of this Ford a bit later. We'll see what my third one is like, as I need to get that checkpoint there. It's just a testament to how good this Mustang is though. How it sounds incredible as well. But it can just almost do that climb at a standstill. That's like 70 degrees or something ridiculous like that. It's just so much grip, so much traction from this four-wheel drive, these off-road tyres, coupled with the torque you get. Very good up these hills. Perhaps a bit bouncy everywhere, a bit. The suspension's not quite up to it in some bit earlier sections, I don't think. Maybe not the grip you get from the front end. Perhaps due to this rear aero. Maybe there's a mistake. And again, I've gone a bit too high over that. If I can get it lower, that should spend less time in the air. It's going to be slower than last time around. Mainly because I had to stop and turn around, basically, for a checkpoint. It seems you can smash through that roundabout. Depends how heavy it is as to whether that's a good line to take. But this time around it's even slower. 218. It's not ideal. Again, more poor driving for me. not knowing my own course is not a good plan either. I'm just hoping I'd perhaps concentrate a bit more on where I'm going rather than, well, I should say, commentating. That will make a very good video. I should try better third time around. So, I seem to be letting this car down a smidge. We'll try and have a better go this time around. So we watch for the start. There we go. Again, good start. Just going the outside of all this street furniture, the barrier mainly. Had to be inside during this bit. Now we know this is very bumpy already. So just got to try and, well, boot it really. Go as quickly as I can up there, but make sure I slow it down for this tree section. And that's better. Got to take a strange line through that very tight bit of trees. Some of the bigger cars may struggle and have to take a bit of an odd line through that section. Now I know during that bit it hits the front bumper, perhaps too much. Ooh, taking an odd line through there. Let's jump on the brakes a smidge. Perhaps a bit too much car in front of the front wheel. That won't help the approach angle essentially. Take a strange line through this bit. Again, not quite what I wanted, but we know this Mustang is just good up these hills. And from here on out, it's quite straight up the hills. If we don't get too much air and take the wrong line through that bit. It seems to be so good, just so good. So, bit of a better run so far. So fast up these hills. Don't get too much air through this next section. Should be a very good time indeed. Just about clipped that checkpoint. Jeez. Thank you, Forza. That really came from nowhere. I should have missed that essentially. Just, it seems to be very fast up this bit. It's still a bit of a jump, but we basically get past the barrier, so it's almost the ideal line through that bit. It's faster, it's a lot faster. If we don't smash through all rocks and take too wide out of that section, yeah, far faster time indeed. But that is precisely why I run it at least 3 times round, some driver error. So, on to conclusions. Driver error is definitely a factor in this. A mix of not knowing where I'm going, missing checkpoints and hitting trees led to not the fastest of times. And there was definitely more time to be made from a Mustang. As it seemed quite fast. It was very quick up the hills, with a decent amount of grip with large off-road race tyres. But it did struggle a bit over the bumps, with the off-road suspension proving not enough in some places. It would, however, post a 2-minute 5.89 in the end. Certainly faster than the stock 959 at 2 minutes 20. And we shall see how fast that is in the future episodes. If you would like to have a go with this, I've put share codes for a normal version and a no AI version of the climb in the description. I hope you have enjoyed. Don't forget to comment what other cars you would like to see challenge the climb. And I shall see you next time. Have fun.